It hit me that this next chapter is almost here. So you guys, things are finally, like, not like, oh, they're coming in like 6 months. No, things are happening very, very high alert soon.
Some could argue that no post from UOMA Beauty, considering that the owners of UOMA Beauty were being sued by Sharon when she passed away. Some people could argue that no post by them would have been sufficient, but this was especially bad.
When we placed a product order for this packaging back in March, we never anticipated this entire tariff saga to happen. And we calculated the entire tariffs, the duties and fees to be 46%, which is very, very high.
Quite frankly, this business can't afford to lose the US customers. 90% of my sales are from the US. If that drops off, there isn't much left.
Hello, my friend. Welcome back to What's Up in Makeup, where we talk about everything that happened across the beauty industry all in one place. And we have another jam-packed news show this week. And in that, I just want to give you a reminder that this is a news show. So therefore, there's a lot of topics we're going to be talking about. And I don't want you to feel bad about skipping a story that you're not interested in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the topics that we're going to be talking about today. They're right next to me, so you can kind of see what's coming up. And if for some reason you're not digging on a story, not really something you care too much about because everyone's interested in different things, you can click ahead, go ahead to the next story, or skip around and pick the stories you're most interested in. Or my favorite option, just watch the whole thing. It's totally up to you. It's your viewing experience, but I figured I would let you know what's coming up so you don't miss what you're personally interested in. And with that being said, we are starting off today's news show with fake news, because sometimes people do get things wrong and rumors start spreading, and that's how we get misinformation, which is not what we want here. There's enough misinformation in the world. We do not want it in our beauty space. So we are starting with the rumor that KVD Beauty is shutting down. No evidence, at least that I could find as to now. I do believe this started on a Reddit post. So let's read the claims that were put up there and why people started telling me that KVD Beauty was shutting down. This is what it says. I noticed lately that Ulta and Sephora no longer are carrying the brand in store, and all of the websites are no longer restocking any items. The Kendo page for the brand removed the header video, moved the brand label to the bottom of their Our Brands page. The KVD website itself hasn't been updated since 2024, and their social media pages haven't posted since June 16th, Instagram and TikTok. And their Facebook was abandoned October 2024. It looks to be officially over via just silent. I think people have been watching for this brand to shut down for a really long time. Really, ever since Kat Von D left her namesake brand and they started doing weird things with their name, kindness, vegan, doing good, beauty, like it's been weird over there, and they've tried a lot of things to kind of bring the brand to the forefront of our beauty space, and they haven't been super successful. They've had a couple of launches like the Good Apple collection. They got mixed reviews. A lot of influencers saying that it was an amazing foundation, but then when it got in customers' hands, the reviews were mixed. Of course, they also have their staples that they're famous for, their liquid lipsticks, their tattoo liner, all of that. But I feel like as a collective, as a beauty space, we've been kind of waiting for this brand to die. So I get where this is coming from, but let's go through those claims one by one and see what's true, what's not true, because it is a mix. Let's start with what they say about them no longer being sold on Sephora and Ulta's website. Both are not true. Hello, editing Jen. Upon rereading, it said specifically not being sold in store anymore. I can confirm that they are no longer sold in my Sephora store, except for a few slight selections of products, eyeliner, duo, whatever, in that little section by the checkout, stuff like that. I do have quite a bit of KVD Beauty at my Ulta, so maybe they're working their way out and there's just stock at my store and not at the person who posted. All right, just wanted to clarify. Back to the video. As of now, both websites are selling KVD Beauty, and it doesn't seem like anything's on deep discount, not like we're seeing with like Flower Beauty over at Ulta that's been on deep discount forever. I know Give by Gwen Stefani was on deep discount forever. I don't know if they've officially disappeared, but I'll put it on the screen. I was just thinking about that as an example. But usually when a brand's starting to go out, or at least we think they might be going out or rebranding, we see deep discounts. We don't see that with KVD. One thing that is interesting though is that it is a Kendo brand. Kendo is owned by LVMH. Sephora is owned by LVMH. So you would think there would be more products on the Sephora website than on Ulta. Not true. Sephora's only selling 4 products, where the Ulta website is carrying 32 products, which is a huge difference. As far as no longer restocking, I'm not sure where they got that information, because they do have a section on the KVD Beauty website called Last Call, and as of now, there's only 1 product on there, and that's the Moon Garden palettes. I'm not sure where they got that. Maybe they have insider information that I just don't have, but I couldn't find evidence of that. Now, when it comes to the Kendo website, KVD being on the bottom and then removing the header, that also seems to be misinformation. What I did was I used one of my favorite tools, which is called the Wayback Machine. It's a place where anybody can go to the website and you can search for old versions of websites to see what the website used to look like. Now, if you go to the Kendo page, the earliest capture of that page, so the first record they have of the current page, is from December of 2024, and the KVD branding is at the bottom even back then. As far as the homepage not being updated, it looks like this homepage was updated in February of 2025, so that's not true that it hasn't been updated since 2024, but it has been quite a while. With socials, yes, this is mostly correct to no fault of the person that posted. KVD's last post as of the time this person put something up was, yes, in June, but this week they put up 3 new posts on their Instagram. Their TikTok has not been updated. And they're absolutely right about the Facebook being abandoned in October of 2024. It looks like they just weren't getting a lot of engagement over there. It had the last post over there had 35 likes and 2 comments, and the 2 comments were complaining about things. So maybe they just didn't see a reason to keep updating it, since engagement over there just was maybe not worth the time they were putting into it. So that's the real on that. Is KVD Beauty closing? It doesn't seem like it, but anything is possible. Maybe they have insider information that I just don't have, but that wasn't shared in the post, and you know, that's just kind of the way it is. But I do want to note that they are onto something, in that there really isn't a lot of engagement on KVD socials, and I don't really hear much about them. So I would imagine that maybe they're struggling, but as far as going out of business, not yet. The second rumor was that Sephora was dropping Huda Beauty from their lineup due to the backlash from the post that Huda Katan put up at the beginning of August. As you probably know, Huda Katan has been a very vocal advocate against the genocide in Gaza, but this post, even for people that were in support of the Gazan people, were still kind of on this particular post that Huda put up, because in that post, she not only said Israel was responsible for the October 7th attacks, but also responsible for the September 11th attacks, as well as World War I and World War II, which really threw people off, because Israel literally didn't exist during World War I and World War II. So how could they have been responsible?
Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Are we seeing the same things? All of the conspiracy theories coming out, and a lot of evidence behind them, that Israel has been behind World War I, World War II, September 11th, October 7th. They allowed all of this stuff to happen. Is this crazy?
Israel was established as a country in 1948. World War I started in 1914, and World War II started in 1939. So what people started connecting was that she couldn't have been talking about Israel because Israel didn't exist, so she must have been talking about the Jewish people. People were absolutely outraged by these statements that she was making. She presented this information as conspiracy theories with, quote, a lot of evidence behind them. So the question is, has Huda Beauty been dropped by Sephora? No, there is no evidence that they have been dropped by Sephora, but I do think I figured out where this all came from. There was a report posted by a company called Navigo Marketing that showed a decline in orders for 8 out of the 10 top Huda Beauty products on the Sephora website. And that decline started after she posted her video. Sephora, however, said that the information presented by Navigo Marketing was not true and not real. However, they declined to share the actual numbers of what was going on with Huda Beauty products on their site. Publicly, Sephora did respond to Huda's video saying they were reviewing the issue, but other than that, they haven't made any moves. So where truly did this rumor come from? It looks like it came from an Instagram account called Celebrities for Palestine. They put up a redaction 3 days ago with this image and the statement, "Previous news falsely stated that Sephora has ended its relationship with Huda Beauty. This information was incorrect. The post has been deleted and we are committed to upholding the highest standard of accuracy." It seems like maybe this Instagram account misread something that did happen. Huda Katan herself was pulled from an experts panel in an upcoming Sephora campaign that will also feature names like Gucci Westman and Makeup by Mario. It's possible that Celebrities for Palestine just maybe read that too fast and just put up the wrong information. But as you know, misinformation is really hard to correct once you put it out there and rumors start spreading. So I figured I would let you know what is really happening as of now. But if anything changes, of course, I will let you know. Big things may be coming soon for Tati Westbrook. As you may know, about this time last year, Tati announced that the court case with her former business partner, Clark Swanson, was over.
The litigation update, the grand finale, I will not be talking about this any further. I wanted to share with you guys that it's settled. A lot of you guys wanted to know when trial was happening. August was the month, so it was coming in hot. It is not happening because we ended up getting on the phone, hammering things out without lawyers, and we are at peace with it. I will be moving on from Halo Beauty, as will James, and the good thing is I can now focus my energy on relaunching my makeup brand. With that being said, I have the utmost confidence in the Halo Beauty brand and I wish it continued success. And now the good news is I have my name back and I'm free and I feel free and I feel excited to relaunch and do new things, get creative. I was at the time of all the litigation, whatnot, working on a fragrance line. I don't know if a lot of you guys know about that, but I was knee deep in a fragrance line, a candle line. I had gone to New York and I had like a whole presentation and we were already working on things. I had trademarked the name, but litigation got in the way of a lot of different things, but I've done it before and I feel like I'm super equipped to do it again and I'm not gonna give up. When things don't go your way, it's really easy to be like, well, it's not meant to be and it will always be this way and it will always be hard and I should just never ever go out there and try to launch a brand ever again. And I'm just not that woman. I'm like, well, didn't work, but what did we learn? Let's do it again.
On August 26th, Tati uploaded a regular video, what's new at Sephora and Ulta. Normal video, but within that video, she said this.
I have some upcoming travel. I'm literally going to be packing right after I wrap up filming this for a very, very special trip. You guys, I have been in near tears, like happy tears, nostalgic tears in a great way this morning. Like I was just sitting outside, listening to the birds, having a moment. It hit me that this next chapter is almost here. So you guys, things are finally not like, oh, they're coming in like 6 months. No, things are happening very, very, very high alert soon. Make sure you are on the Tati list to be the first notified. I'm going to LA. I have a very special photo shoot coming up.
And if you look at the background, you can see strategically placed behind her the original Tati Beauty palette. So of course, because I can leave no stone unturned, I had to look back and see when did this palette start appearing in Tati's videos. It looks like it started popping up in her videos in May of this year. So I will keep an eye on that. I will definitely let you know if anything happens on the Tati Beauty front or maybe a fragrance line. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But not just Tati is making moves to launch new products, but her former brand Halo Beauty is also launching new products. Now I'm scrolling Instagram like I do, and I'm looking at Instagram stories, and I happen to see Halo Beauty has an update, which usually they're pretty boring. It's the same model that they've been using over and over again, which they should. They paid for that model to model their stuff or, re-promotes of products they've had out for a while. But oh no, This post was different because it announced 2 new products that were coming soon. And the supplements that they chose, girl. But before I share that with you, I just want to give you an update on what's going on with Halo Beauty in general. So we know that Tati and James Westbrook are no longer involved in Halo Beauty at all. And there was a press release that came out about a year ago saying that Halo Beauty was sold. Here's a quote from that press release. It reads, Halo Beauty, a trusted leader in beauty supplements and wellness, is excited to announce their acquisition by a female-founded makeup brand. Under new ownership, Halo Beauty will become part of a blended portfolio that includes high-performance, clean makeup that is highly rated by the most discerning experts in clean beauty. After sharing that story, the female founder mentioned reached out to me. Her name is Mahir Sethi, and she was not happy with me at all. She accused me of bullying, of targeting the brand. And from her perspective, I can see why she might have felt that way because I am biased against Clark Swanson. I will be a Clark Swanson hater for life. He does not seem like a good person at all. More on that later. So I'm sure some of that bias was coming out in my coverage, but my motivation was never to mislead or to give you incomplete information. So I let Mahir know, look, if there's anything you want to tell me, anything you want my audience to know, please tell me and I will be happy to share that. And in that, we came to a good point and Mahir shared with me a lot of what was going on from her perspective. The first thing she shared with me was that she herself was no longer financially invested in True and Luscious. That True and Luscious was being merged underneath the Halo Beauty umbrella and run by different people. She also said that the press release sounded like it was presented incorrectly or at least in a confusing way because True and Luscious and Halo Beauty had been acquired by a company called Belbonica Lux Corp. Now, Halo, Belbonica, Clark Swanson, none of the people involved in Halo Beauty have any obligation to publicly say who is running what over at the company. So all I can go off of is what I found publicly, and I dug and I dug and I dug to try to get you the most accurate information possible. This is what I found. If you go over the Belbonica website, there is no mention of Halo Beauty anywhere, even though True and Luscious is still there. If you go to the LinkedIn page for Halo Beauty, Clark Swanson is still listed as the co-founder and CEO of Halo Beauty, and there's no mention of Belbonica or anybody that seems to work for Belbonica. So I don't know what's going on there. I do know that Clark Swanson updates his LinkedIn profile relatively often. So if anything had changed over there, I would think that he would have updated it. But of course, there's no way to know that for sure. It's definitely possible that Belbonica is an investor or they possibly own it and Clark is just running it. I honestly don't know. All I know that's important to this story is that Clark is still very much involved. This leads me to the launches because, in my opinion, they fall right in line with who Clark Swanson has presented himself to be. You ready for the first slide? Was that too much buildup? Here's the first slide. It reads, see what's next for Halo Beauty. 1. Physician-formulated weight loss breakthrough created by a Harvard medical doctor made to work for your body. Second slide. Doesn't get better. 2. OBGYN approved feminine wellness formulated for dryness, odor, and healthy flora. Confidence starts here. Subscribe for early access. Needless to say, the red flags are red flagging everywhere. I'm sure you see it too. The ones that I personally saw were physician-formulated, Harvard Medical School doctor, OBGYN approved, which we know are very loose things to say. They're not regulated. Who is this doctor? Who is this OBGYN that approved it? Did the person even finish Harvard Medical School? Were they kicked out? Did they finish with honors? We just don't know. These are meant, in my opinion, to show credibility to the products, but in the end, they really don't mean anything. And weight loss pills. Weight loss pills in the year of our Lord 2025? Are you kidding me? We know these supplements are barely regulated in the US. And made to work with your body, again, it's just a slogan. It means nothing. It is possible that they will drop some kind of deep research later, some way that they have proved this. I personally doubt it. I will be shocked. I will eat my words if they actually have research studies to prove that this is real. Let's talk about vaginal health with a supplement. Goodness gracious. This is the thing. If you have dryness, if you have odor, our bodies do weird things. Sometimes things happen, but that is not the time to take a supplement. That is the time, legitimately, to go see a doctor. There could be hormonal imbalances. There could be some kind of infection. There could be all kinds of things going on. And even if these pills work, it's most likely going to just mask any symptoms, and it could delay real and actual treatment. Again, maybe this is some kind of breakthrough that has these independently verified studies that show that this treats these things really and truly. Again, I will eat my words if I'm wrong. So essentially, and again, Clark Swanson hater for life, what I see is a man who doesn't know any women creating products for women. Maybe he knows women, but is he close to any? Did he run this idea by any women? I would doubt it. How I imagine this worked was him sitting back and thinking, what are some insecurities that women have, and how can I profit off of those insecurities? They even have the tagline, confidence starts here. That not being a size 2 or a size 4, that having some issues with your vaginal health would then make you be less confident as a person and therefore need supplements to correct it. It is just the epitome of ignorance. Neither of those things, of course, are anything to be ashamed of, but Clark wants you to be ashamed of it, and he wants you to buy his pill to correct it. Anyway, final thought on this is I'm just absolutely disgusted by the direction of Halo Beauty. This was never something I ever thought that Halo Beauty would devolve into. I would imagine this is something Tati never would have signed off on, but here we are. This is the direction, and unless these somehow have science behind them and they end up selling really well, I see this as the beginning of the end, like really and truly for Halo Beauty. It is the end of an era. Makeup Alley is closing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's totally okay. But if you do know what I'm talking about, you probably let out an audible gasp, because Makeup Alley is a piece of beauty community history. On August 25th, they put up this post on their Instagram. I'm just going to read it to you. They wrote, "To our fellow members and friends, thank you for being a part of the Makeup Alley family. Since our launch in 1999, you have turned this platform into a vibrant, welcoming community for beauty lovers worldwide, something we will always treasure. We're saddened to share that Makeup Alley will close permanently on September 27th, 2025 Eastern Time. Until then, all site features will remain available as usual. In line with our commitment to privacy, all personal information will be permanently deleted October 7th of 2025 Eastern Time and will not be used after the site's closure. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your trust, passion, and support over the years. If you have any questions, please contact us through our contact form on makeupalley.com. With gratitude, the Makeup Alley team." What was so special about Makeup Alley is that it was the place for makeup reviews before makeup reviews on social media had taken off. Remember, YouTube didn't even start until 2005. I don't remember seeing any makeup reviews on the platform until like 2009. So 10 years before that, people were relying on Makeup Alley for their information about new product releases. But like any community, there was drama between users. And I think the biggest drama, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong, the biggest drama surrounded their swapping feature, where you could take a product that you had and swap it with another user. But then people started doing something that they called swap lifting. They would agree to a swap. One person would mail the product out. The other person just wouldn't mail the other product. And there were a lot of fights over swap lifting. And that ended up in that Makeup Alley just ended up ending that whole system. But overall, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Makeup Alley has been an extremely positive place for so many people for so many years. According to the article linked below, Makeup Alley has amassed 2.8 million reviews of 399,001 beauty products, helping countless makeup artists and customers decide what they want to purchase. So this is truly the end of an era, and I know that they will be very much missed. Last week, we talked about the sad news of the passing of Sharon Chuter, one of my personal heroes, the founder of UOMA Beauty, the Pull Up for Change movement, and the Make It Black campaign. Though news broke on August 22nd, she passed away on August 14th, according to the Los Angeles Medical Examiner. They are still investigating the cause of her death, but all we know is that she died on a patio. At the time of her death, Sharon was suing a company called Huda Beauty. They were the company that took over UOMA Beauty in December of 2023 after Sharon's health hiatus and after she resigned from her role as CEO of the company. Now, Sharon says that she was still supposed to have a place on the board and that the team at MacArthur removed her from that position, but MacArthur says that she resigned publicly and completely from the company. Days after the announcement of Sharon's death, customers were outraged that the UOMA Beauty Instagram account hadn't said anything at all about that their founder, the reason why they existed, had passed away. On August 25th, they put up this post. If you're not looking at the screen, it is a black screen and these big, bold, bright white letters that read, Sharon Chuter's passing is deeply saddening news, and our thoughts and condolences go out to her family and loved ones during this difficult time. Some could argue that no post from UOMA Beauty, considering that the owners of UOMA Beauty were being sued by Sharon when she passed away. Some people could argue that no post by them would have been sufficient, but this was especially bad. First, it took 3 days. 3 whole days for them to even acknowledge Sharon's death. And when they did make a statement, I feel like this is as minimalistic and as cold as it gets. Nothing about her passion, nothing about the origins of the word UOMA, nothing about the way that they grew the company, no history, no nothing, no tribute, just almost like if it was a stranger that had died. The fact is, you don't have to like somebody in order to respect their accomplishments. And any money that MacArthur Beauty is making off of UOMA Beauty right now is directly due to the efforts of Sharon and people that she hired to grow the brand. Now, I had the intention of screenshotting comments next to this post in order to share with you how people were feeling about it, but UOMA Beauty deleted it, and they haven't replaced it with anything better. It's just gone. Now there's no acknowledgement at all. However, both UOMA Beauty and UOMA Beauty by Sharon C products are still being sold by UOMA Beauty. If you'd like to learn more about the entire timeline of UOMA Beauty and how everything went down, Allure did a fantastic article just breaking down everything that happened. I will link it down below. I do think it's worth a read if you're interested. And of course, if I hear any updates about Sharon, about UOMA, I will be sure to share it with you. I can only imagine how hard it is for businesses right now in the US, outside the US, dealing with US commerce with these wild tariffs, the on, the off, the not knowing what's happening. It's going to be this percent. No, it's going to be this percent. No, it's going to be less. No, they're on, they're off. It has been a complete mess when it comes to our current administration's announcements and enforcement of these tariffs. I read somewhere that they've been changed as a total over 100 times. And how can brands begin to make any kind of educated decisions when things are always changing? Now, I don't have any answers to that question, but what I do have is information about how independent beauty brands are handling all of this that's going down. So for example, Jolie Beauty, there was a while where US customers couldn't even access the Jolie Beauty website. Well, that has now changed. They reopened this past week, and it's because they opened an entirely separate US warehouse. But not all brands are able to do that. For example, Cosmic Beauty, Titanium Foxes Artitude, Beauty Moon, Lethal Cosmetics, Unseen Sunscreen, Glisten Cosmetics, and so many others have announced on their social media that for the time being, they can no longer ship to the US. Leah Yu, founder and CEO of Crave Beauty, has been one of the most vocal brand founders talking about how tariffs are affecting her and her brand. I would love to play for you the video she put up this past week that explains why these tariffs are such a big deal.
That day has come. We got hit by the tariffs finally. We are importing this packaging component for our retinol product that we're launching in September, and it's coming from China. And I'm going to show you our entire thought process of what we're going to be doing in the future and what we're kind of monitoring in terms of the trade policy and how the beauty industry supply chain evolves around this new trade policy. But I wanted to give you a practical example of the real business case right here. We're launching this retinol serum that's bottled in 100% PCR packaging. This is a monomaterial, which means that it's easier to recycle as well. We placed a product order for this. At the time, and still pretty much to this day, we couldn't find another supplier who would be able to supply 100% PCR resin for this airless pump bottle. And when we placed the product order for this packaging back in March, we never anticipated this entire tariff saga to happen. But when we got the order in July, the packaging shipment arrived in the US port, and we calculated the entire tariffs, the duties and fees to be 46%, which is very, very high. So this packaging company also has a factory or a plant in Mexico, and they were saying that if you use a Mexico plant, the tariff will go down significantly, even down to zero, depending on where the US and Mexico trade agreement stands. However, the biggest drawback is that with the PCR content that we can include is down to 0%. But if we decide to go with the Mexico plant, we do need to redo the stability testing, which will delay the launch and which will incur more costs because obviously the stability testing is not going to be done for free. So that's a huge drawback. We already have good relationship with some packaging vendors based in Korea. We asked like, what's the max PCR content that you can do? And the highest amount that we can find in South Korea for airless pump packaging bottle was 50%, which is still very far off from 100%. So we didn't really feel super comfortable at that point, but still based on the current trade policy right now, the South Korean imports to the United States are subject to 25% of tariffs. And of course, this means that we need to redo the stability testing, which will delay the launch. And that also means that we're breaking the contract with this initial supplier that we started working with. So there would be some penalty or some of the upfront payments that we need to forego. But curious to hear your thoughts. If you were in our shoes, what kind of decision would you make? Or is there anything else that we could have done?
What kills me about this is that this all started with Crave Beauty's desire to use 100% post-consumer recycled plastics, that they were trying to do a good thing for the environment, and the only place they could do that was with this Chinese company. But I'm curious to hear what you think about what Leah said and maybe even respond to her question. What would you do if you were Crave Beauty? But there's another piece of this that's really, really important, and it has to do with the word of the week in indie beauty, which is de minimis. This is different than what Leah is talking about, but is most likely what all of those indie brands were talking about when they stopped shipping to the US. What I wanted to understand and what I wanted to share with you was about this term that I'm hearing from these indie beauty brands, and I didn't understand how that was the same or different than what Leah was talking about. The short of it is that it does overlap with the tariff topic, but it is something completely different. De minimis is not a tariff. It was a rule that existed until a few days ago. And that rule was essentially if you were a company or a person ordering something from overseas that had a value of less than $800, you didn't have to pay any tariffs on it. The reason why, reportedly, is that it made trade faster and easier by saving time at the border, it encouraged e-commerce, and it kept costs down for customers who had small orders from outside of the US. All of that ended on Friday, and this followed a July 30th executive order signed by President Trump. This change means that on that start date, most low-value international shipments are now subject to tariffs and fees, regardless of their value. So, for example, if you order a $30 eyeshadow palette, you may then get a new tariff on there, maybe even up to $15. And this could also cause shipping delays because now the people at those ports of entry have a lot more work to do. So what's the logic? Why is our administration doing this? Well, reportedly, it's because companies like Shein and Temu are sending over all these millions and millions and millions of small packages, and they're not having to pay any kind of tariff or tax in order to do that. President Trump and his administration is in a trade war with China, so it's a way to stick it to China. They also think this will encourage U.S. customers to buy more from U.S. brands, and more tariffs means more money for the U.S. government. Right before I wrapped up the script on Friday night, a big thing happened. And that big thing that's being reported is that a court decided that the tariffs that President Trump has been imposing over the past 9 months or so are actually illegal. Now, I don't know at this point what that actually means in reality, but it seems like the brand that I talked about in this piece that's going to be most affected is Leah Yu and the problem that she discussed. Now, because de minimis, like I said, isn't a tariff, it's the pullback of a rule, chances are that's still going to stay in place, at least for now.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to come on and give you a little update. I am currently in contact with multiple fulfillment centers in the US. I've also been approached by multiple brands in the US asking to stock our products. So that's another option, and thank you to those brands for reaching out. I really appreciate it. We're also looking into moving from Australia Post to DHL and FedEx. We're currently opening accounts with them, and we're kind of going to explore our options there, because with DHL and FedEx, you can pay the duties and all the fees up front before I ship it, so you guys aren't surprised with that bill once it gets there. Quite frankly, this business can't afford to lose the US customers. 90% of my sales are from the US. If that drops off, there isn't much left. I'm not one to just roll over and give up, so I'm gonna figure it out. Oh, my voice is cracking. Getting emotional. But yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll come up with some sort of solution.
Glaminatrix Cosmetics has chosen a different route. They are now shipping through DHL, and they are going to add on a 10% fee onto US orders to help pay for some of the tariffs. And that makes me so incredibly sad for these small businesses. I can only imagine. I mean, I tried to start a small business myself, and I got to like this big of a scale compared to what these small indie brands have been able to accomplish. I can only imagine the amount of time, money, heart that goes into these small businesses. And a lot of them have a huge US customer base. So to lose all of that is a gigantic hit. And my heart is with you, and I'm so sorry that this is happening, and I hope that things get resolved soon in a way that you can come back to selling to US customers, because I know we're gonna miss you. Sunscreen has one job: to protect our skin from the sun. And sunscreen brands have one job, and that's to make sure that their sunscreen protects our skin from the sun. And one of the places that takes sunscreen the most seriously in the entire world is Australia. Not only do they have one of the highest UV radiation levels in the world, as a result, they have a lot of education about protecting yourself from the sun that they even teach young children. They are taught slip, slap, slop from a really young age. Slip on a shirt, slap on sunscreen, and slap on a hat. They've even added 2 other S's, the seek and slide, seek shade and slide on sunglasses.
Slip, slop, slap, seek and slide, have fun outside, but don't get fried. Slip on a shirt, slop on sunscreen, slap on a hat, 6 shades, slide on sunnies, simple as that.
Australians, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I was shocked because this would never happen in the US. It said that many schools have a rule that kids can't go outside to play at recess unless they have a hat. Like that would never happen here. Never. The way that I tried to get my elementary school kids to wear pants in the winter when there was snow on the ground, and how I was told that I have no control over that, and it's up to the parents to make them wear pants in below freezing temperatures, that the hat thing would never happen here. Of course, it's not a one-to-one correspondence, but my point is we could never. Anyway, the reason for telling you all of this is that Ultraviolet, which is a sunscreen brand that we've talked about in the past, has recalled one of their sunscreens. They got in some hot water back in June because a company called Choice, which is like their Consumer Reports, we have Consumer Reports, they have Choice in Australia. They did a study and they tested a bunch of sunscreens. And Ultraviolet's Lean Screen was advertised as an SPF 50, but they found that the bottle they had was only an SPF 4. Customers were outraged. We were talking about, well, maybe something happened in shipping with temperature regulation, like what was going on. The CEO came out and made a statement and was like, this can't be real, this can't be true, but we're gonna figure it out, we're gonna look into it. Well, they looked into it and it was not good. They have pulled that one product from shelves effective immediately after new tests found a pattern of inconsistency in the SPF results. Customers who bought the product are entitled to a refund. In a statement on Instagram, Ultraviolet said it is deeply sorry that one of our products has fallen short of the standards we pride ourselves on. The statement continued, our responsibility has always been to prioritize your safety, protection, and skin health above all else. It remains the basis for every decision we make, which is why when you heard from us last, we made a commitment to you that we would continue to investigate a concerning discrepancy in SPF testing results of our Lean Screen. Then they shared, this is the shocking part. Across 8 different tests, Lean Screen has now returned SPF data of 4, 10, 21, 26, 33, 60, 61, and 64. That was not good enough for us, and it's not good enough for you. Given this pattern of inconsistency in testing, we've decided to withdraw Lean Velvet Sunscreen from the market effective immediately. Ultraviolet revealed that they would no longer be working with the original testing laboratory that they had used for Lean Screen. Apparently, it was just this one formula that was created with this manufacturer that was tested by this lab, and they said they're not working with either one of them ever again. To make sure this doesn't happen again, Ultraviolet says that every new product with SPF will be tested at a minimum of 2 different independent labs prior to launch, which of course is going to add double the cost for them, but they're taking this that seriously. The frequency of retesting has also been increased to 18 months using off-the-shelf market samples, and if any discrepancies are found, they'll continue to take immediate action. If you did buy a bottle of Lean Screen and you are looking for a refund, I will have the link to do that down in the video description. But it is important to note that this does not cover any of their other sunscreens, it's just the Lean Screen. But this is the thing, it looks like this may be a more widespread problem because again, this isn't an Ultraviolet issue, this is an issue with that manufacturing facility. And it turns out that this particular facility would use very similar or the same base for many products. And those companies, some of them at least, are coming out to say, oh my goodness, there may be a problem with ours too. The Sydney Herald reported that as of this week, 3 more sunscreen brands have paused sales of products due to inconsistencies in SPF ratings. This includes 3 products by Outside Beauty and Skincare and 1 product by Natural Clear. Naked Sundays paused sales of their Collagen Glow Mineral Sunscreen as a precautionary measure while they test it. Sales have also been paused on products by Found My Skin and Enoda as they await their testing results. There is a separate article linked down below about naked Sundays. They're extremely popular here in the US. And essentially, they didn't have any customer complaints. It hadn't been tested as being bad. Like they haven't found anything wrong with it, but because it seems like they were probably made in that same manufacturing facility, they're just pulling it just out of the utmost of caution. This sucks so bad for these brands. I feel so bad for them because in reality, when you've got a big brand, it's not like you can be there to watch everything go down. You have to trust the people you hire to be professional and do things correctly. As an international brand, these brands can't do everything on their own. They have to hire packaging and manufacturing and testing from outside people. So that's what really sucks about this, because they're the ones who are going to have to pay the cost for other people's mistakes. And besides that, because of the facilities not doing what they were supposed to do, now the brands have this loss of reputation for putting out products that were subpar. For more information on all of the brands and products that have been pulled, check out the Sydney Herald article down below. I have one more sunscreen story for you, and this one is Whippy. Whip it good. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. It's push it good. Sorry. Apparently, whipped cream looking sunscreen needs extra approval by the FDA before it hits market. And I know you know the one I'm talking about, that vacation classic whip sunscreen, the one that looks like a whipped cream can. Yeah, the FDA is like, no, you didn't pass this by us, because apparently the FDA has only approved oils, lotions, creams, gels, butters, pastes, ointment sticks, sprays, and powders for a format for sunscreen. If you want to put through a whipped sunscreen, the FDA has to put you through like a special process, and they didn't do that. They also have another concern for US customers and the sunscreen. Can you guess what it is? Yeah, they're worried about people eating it. They're worried about people thinking it's actual whipped cream and putting it on their desserts and stuff, or just, you know, how people do. So that's an issue as well. Now, this one is different than the last one because the vacation sunscreen hasn't been found to have any issues. The FDA is just basically like, wait a minute, we want to make sure this is good because we haven't approved this formula. They want to make sure that it does give a good coverage of the SPF in that format. That's all. Vacation wasn't the only brand that got a warning letter. Supergoop, Kalani Sunwear, Bateo Baby, and Tizo Skin have also been issued warning letters for their mousse sunscreens. If they don't resolve the issues, they have a very short amount of time to talk to the FDA about this. They could be taken off the market completely. As a follow-up to the story last week about Claire's entering voluntary Chapter 11 proceedings with the U.S. government and also proceedings in Canada, there is something new this week. Claire's Holdings LLC has entered into an agreement with Ames Watson to sell its intellectual property and a significant portion of its North American store base. So if this goes through, because of course they have to go through all the regulatory stuff to make sure it goes through, then this could pull them out of Chapter 11. Ames Watson will get a large part of Claire's retail operations, while other stores will continue their liquidation. But because of this deal, some stores that were to be liquidated are now stopping that liquidation process. Ames Watson's co-founder, his name is Lawrence Berger, said that the company's intent was to preserve Claire's retail presence and invest in long-term growth. Saved once again. We'll see what happens next. All right, it is product report time, and I want to share with you a couple of products that have recently come into my life. The first one is a brand new brush by Sigma. This was sent to me in PR. This is the domed concealer brush, the F26, and oh my goodness, was this so lovely to use. It's just the perfect under eye shape. I also use this to blend highlighting concealer that I occasionally do, and it worked very, very well. Sigma brushes are fabulous, especially the more dense ones. Those are my favorite ones from Sigma, and this little tiny dense brush is perfect. I also use this for powder. I know that's a controversial choice to use it for both cream and powder, but man, did it work perfectly. Just that targeted application. Let me just show you what it looks like up close. It's just really, really nice. Just very dense, but not too dense. Picks up product perfectly, and I wanted to share that with you. I also want to share with you my lip combo today. This isn't brand new, but it's what I use for the combo. This is the Milani Keep It Full It's in the shade Bisou. It's one of those click ups and it's a very light pigmentation. I know that looks more full coverage, but as you mush it into your lips, you can see it's more of a tinted balm, but it's got a good bit of tint in there. I mixed that with a brand new product from Nomad Cosmetics. Check this out. Look at this beautiful lipstick. Oh my goodness. What? Are you kidding me? It's part of their new Halloween collection. It's beautiful. Witch City Salem is the name of the collection. And this shade is called Witching Hour. I'm going to show it to you on its own, and then I'll put it over top of the lipstick so you can see how it just makes it glow. Of course, you can wear it on its own for just a little bit of gold sparkle, but you can see how it just really brings some shine and just specialness to that Milani product. They also came out with this eyeshadow palette. I know there are a bunch of reviews online for it right now. I have not tried it yet, to be 100% with you, but I just wanted to show you how freaking cool that packaging is. Like, are you kidding me right now? Really, really cool. So this is the inside, just so you can see, but I haven't used it, so I can't tell you anything about it other than that. Now let's talk new brands. I am well aware that Amra Olivec Reyes is a very, very popular influencer. She has been for a very long time. She has over 5 million followers over on Instagram and like 850,000 followers on TikTok. However, this is what I know her best for. This is the ABH AMREZY highlighter. She also came with an eyeshadow palette with them, but this is the thing. Okay, so just as a little backstory, this highlighter was so special back in the day because it gave a wet look, and that was not what was coming out at the time. It was the very like Nikki Tutorials, From Space, opaque, glow to the gods highlighters, what everybody was coming out with. And this thing was special, and it was not just special for one skin tone. It seemed to be universally flattering on pretty much everybody. So now Amra is launching her own makeup line, and it's just called AMREZY. Here's the trailer that she put up on her Instagram and on the brand's new Instagram.
I've set the trends, I've changed the game, and now I'm creating my own. This is just the beginning.
In a post on TikTok and Instagram, Amra stated, "It took a while to get here. As a little girl, the first makeup product I ever touched was my mom's lipstick. I'd smear it all over my face with excitement, never realizing how far it would one day take me. This brand is 2.5 years in the making, rooted in everything I know and love about beauty. I've poured myself into every detail, and I can't wait for you to experience the formulas and shades I've created at AMREZY brand." The brand is launching with a signature lip collection with 10 lipsticks, 10 lip glosses, and 10 lip pencils. The site will open on September 5th. Another beauty brand launched recently. This time it is from Tony, Emmy, and Grammy Award winner Billy Porter. He was actually the first openly gay Black man to win a lead acting Emmy. In case you didn't know, I didn't know. Now I know. So the brand is called Black Mona Lisa Beauty after his 2023 album, and the brand actually launched last month, and I missed it. So I'm telling you now because it looks really cool. All right. Prices range from $9.99 to $66.99 per product. The slogan for the brand is "Beauty has no gender," and it is a huge range of products. There are 90 SKUs. 90 SKUs. In those SKUs, there's 3 lipstick formulas, liquid shimmer eyeshadow highlighters, a contour kit, various skincare serums, a cleanser, an eye cream, even some touch-up blotting papers, but it does not stop there. They also have beard oils, a grooming kit, and even a jade roller. It's a lot. It's a lot over there. Link will be down below if you want to check it out. Update for you on a story from last year. Do you remember this palette? Okay, this was a mess. Instead of re-explaining it, I'm just gonna play you the clip from What's Up in Makeup from last year to just get you caught up. Let us talk about Blend Bunny. Oh my gosh, so they are discontinuing their Sugar Grunge palette because they got a cease and desist. I'm gonna go ahead and read the Instagram post and then we'll talk about it. So here we go. It has been brought to our attention via a cease and desist letter that a tiny local brand believes they own the rights to the word grunge.
I know. I won't name names because they don't deserve a single new eye on them or the clout they're seeking. While there's no way this could be true, and they have a very tiring fight ahead of them if they want to try to do this with the likes of a billion and multi-million-dollar brands using the word, it's much more my style to flick the nonsense off my shoulder and move ahead gracefully. Sugar and Grunge was a really fun collection, but to avoid engaging in a fight that is truly beneath the brand, we will be selling off our Sugar and Grunge palettes at 50% off and moving on to the bigger and better things we have coming this year. I don't need to keep this one in my arsenal when I have so many beautiful products and collaborations to look forward to. To get this beautiful palette at 50% off, use code GRUNGE with a wink emoji. What's sad is if this local brand had chosen to try to collaborate versus sow a seed of yucky karma, I probably would have gladly supported them and found a way to spread the word about them, as they're a small business in my city and woman owned. It's always so much better to do things with beauty and pure hearts versus competition and negativity, and that is where the post ends. So I went over to the Blend Bunny website and I noticed that the palette is sold out.
So if you wanted this palette but you didn't get your hands on it, it's back under a different name, Sugar and Spite. Yes, I love that so much. The description on the new palette reads, same stunning, rebelliously sweet colors you loved from the first go-round, but magnetic in our new signature quad format, and the shade names. We win. And Blend Bunny's names on these are actually hilarious. They include Hush Now, Middle Finger, What Goes Around, Raisin Hell, and my personal favorite, Karma Knows. I love this so much for them. You can buy it now on their website for $44. There are a few new products that I came across that I thought were pretty interesting that I wanted to share with you. First, Danessa Myricks is launching the Yummy Skin Liquid Blurring Balm. It's a mattifying setting spray that is said to blur pores. Description says, the first setting spray you can use like a powder, press in with a puff, sponge, or brush for targeted blurring, mattifying, and smoothing. No cast, no dryness. I am curious to see reviews on this one. It is coming soon. And this one's just pretty. I know we've seen this format before. The one I'm thinking of is the Stila one, but it's just pretty, and I don't know, pretty things make me happy. This is the new Fenty Grip Trip Hydrating Plus Plumping Primer and the Grip Trip Mattifying Plus Blurring Primer. They're $37 each. We also had a couple of collaborations launch. We have the NYX and Bridgerton collection that is available now, as well as the ColourPop and Shrek collaboration that is also available now. Two notable sales this week that I wanted to mention. First, over at Beautylish, it's just this weekend. It is the Hello Fall sale, up to 50% off your favorite beauty brands, plus exclusive bundles and special gifts with purchase. Again, it's this weekend only. It ends September 1st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. All sales are final on markdown items, and it is that time of year again. It is time for 21 Days of Beauty over at Ulta. 50% off daily deals from brands like Lancome, Supergoop, LMS Clinique, Too Faced, Laura Geller, and more. And for our lighthearted story of the week, we have a product for the little ones. It's not a new little Barbie head where you can put the makeup on, do the hair, all that stuff. It's not super low pigmented makeup that kids can play with. Oh no. It's a kiosk. For the future Ulta Beauty or Sephora employee, they can now play with this little Melissa and Doug kiosk. I shall read the description. The Melissa and Doug Sort Stock Select Beauty Kiosk Playset lets kids sort, pretend, play beauty items by color. Stock the wooden vending machine, then insert play coins and make a selection by pressing the corresponding button so items fall into the collection drawer. I would have loved this as a kid. All right, anyway, it continues. 24-piece play set includes wooden lipsticks, wooden nail polish bottles, and eyeshadows with applicators, bungeed play compact with mirror and makeup pad, lotion tube with flip cap, pretend eye soothing cucumber rounds in double-sided pouches, 3 play coins, bank card, double-sided customizable sign, and reusable activity card. They say you can use the reusable activity card as a stocking checklist and for ordering beauty essentials for daily care routines and play makeovers. Fun to stock with toys and small food packages from home too. A fun way to teach cause and effect, encouraging imaginative interactive play, sorting, color matching, counting, letter recognition, and other early learning development skills. This is my favorite part. Makes a great gift for girls and boys ages 3 to 6 for hands-on screen-free play, learning, and early childhood development. As a former teacher with a master's degree in elementary reading and literacy, I freaking love this. It is such a great toy. All of the things that they're saying, I can totally see, like this interactive play stuff, the sorting, there's so much conversation that could happen in the pretend play of something like this. I love it. And that, my friend, was What's Up in Makeup this week. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, as always, thank you to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you for all of your submissions this week. I appreciate you so very much. Our live chat today will be at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to be hanging out, talking about makeup, talking about the industry. Would love for you to join us. If you can't, it's no problem. You can always check it on the replay by going to my channel page, clicking on the live tab. They're housed there. Or if you're subscribed, very easy to find, just hanging out in your subscription feed. But if you would like to hang out a little bit more right now, oh my goodness, don't go. I would love to have you stay. YouTube should be recommending 2 videos for you over here. The bottom one's last week's episode of What's Up in Makeup. The top one is one YouTube's gonna pick special for you based on what you've been watching recently. But if you've gotta go because you got stuff to do, I get that too. It is no problem at all. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did. And mad love to you. I will see you in a video very soon. Bye!